Has this ever happened to you? We're having a baby. Congratulations, friends. We're so happy for you. Are you ready for hell? You're not going to sleep or have time for friends. Say goodbye to the fun life you had and say hello to depression and anxiety. You'll never be able to eat at nice restaurants without a babysitter again. And I hope you weren't too into sex because it will never be the same after that baby comes. But seriously, congrats on your great news. We're so happy for you. Blah, 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 blah. Drop a comment if you've been the unwilling recipient of helpful advice like this. And watch this video till the end to get actionable and effective tips on how you, as a new or current parent, can tap into miracles that defy all the naysayers who don't believe it's possible to have a wonderful life parenting kids who thrive in every measurable way. Also, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to this channel so other parents can get the same benefit. The world will be a much better place when more of us are winning. There is a big problem with parenting, y'all. Future parents are preparing to fail by listening to fearful advice from failures. And when I say failures, I mean people with a posture of accepting defeat as inevitable and permanent, when they could take every defeat as a lesson on the way to improved circumstances that ultimately will end in success. My name is Otis Grigsby. I'm a lawyer, former NFL player, and dad to a son who has benefited from what I'm about to share in ways that defies logic. If you're about to have a baby, the first thing you and your spouse should do is start dreaming big about how smooth and seamless everything will be when the baby arrives. Think about all the negative things that people say will happen, and then start asking what if questions. What if my body bounces back without the need for surgery? What if the baby sleeps through the night in less than a month? What if we're able to bring our baby to a restaurant at 2 weeks old and he's at peace and stays as healthy as can be? What if this new baby helps us get lots of amazing friends who truly care for us? Write these what ifs down, display them somewhere you'll see them every day, and develop a habit of saying them out loud. Next, you need to ask God for the seemingly impossible things that you and God desire for your family. You and your spouse want your family to thrive in love and peace more than any other person on earth, and God wants that more than you could ever know. Asking God for things that He wants for you shows that you trust Him. James 4:3-6 says, "You do not have because you do not ask God. When you ask, you do not receive because you ask with wrong motives, that you may spend what you get on your pleasures." God is not interested in helping your baby sleep through the night so you can get back to partying with your friends, but He is interested in helping your baby sleep so you can have time to spend with your wife or on that new business idea that will unlock more freedom to be present with your family. When you ask for what you want, just ask once and believe that God will deliver. There's no need to beg or constantly ask. Show more faith in God delivering than you do in Amazon. Finally, you need to act like you have exactly what you asked for. This is a simple 3-part step. Step 1 is to speak about how great it is to have a child that sleeps through the night. Talk about how wonderful it is that your kid is big, strong, smart, healthy, kind, and observant every day before and after they are born. Step 2 is to constantly thank God for these wonderful blessings every day before and after birth, and especially after your child is born when things aren't going the way you hope. Step 3 is to prepare for the victory. I call it setting the table. Think about it this way. When you invite your friends over for dinner, you don't spend time worried about whether they're going to show up. If they said they're coming, you just believe it. And you make sure you have everything ready for that dinner to be special. You're behaving as if you have what you asked for before you have it. Same with when you ask God to help your family thrive in ways that you can't make happen on your own. Acting like you have what you asked for is so important. So here's an example of our experience. Our son had torticollis, so his body and head were bent to the side, and this led to him having a slightly flat spot on his head. On top of that, my wife had issues pumping enough milk. But we continued to just thank God for resolving the problems, and the way He delivered blew our minds. Here's what happened. We hired a physical therapist and chiropractor, but after 8 weeks of no real changes, we fired both of them. I researched some physical therapy routines for torticollis and put together a 3 times daily routine that I personally put our son through. I created a swaddle technique that included a bolster made of a swaddling blanket inside the swaddle to keep our son from sleeping on the flat side of his head. Then I started making high-calorie, high-protein lactation cookies for my wife while researching and introducing her to different lactation supplements. I did all of these things with the expectation that we would see positive results that only God could provide, and that's exactly what we saw. The torticollis cleared up completely. The bolster worked for a couple of weeks before our son learned how to break out of a perfectly wrapped double swaddle, but after about a week, around around 3 months old, he started sleeping on his stomach. Now, I know doctors say that's way too early, but he was way too strong for the swaddle and refused to sleep on his back. His switch to sleeping on his stomach completely eliminated the issue of him sleeping on the flat spot, and it eventually went away. That was a miracle. And when it comes to the milk, we witnessed another miracle. Now, before I share this insanely awesome story, drop a comment if you've experienced a miracle when it comes to your baby defying expectations. People need to know that these are not one-off random occurrences. All right, now back to the milk miracle. There was concern about whether our son was getting enough to eat because my wife wasn't pumping enough, and he was feeding for 40 minutes to an hour before bed every night. But the lactation consultant we hired weighed him before and after feeding and said she had never seen a baby drink this much milk, and she couldn't understand how it was happening considering the short supply from pumping. The consultant discussed our case with her colleagues and some mentors, and they'd never seen anything like it either. Feeding that much for that long was stressful and time-consuming for my wife, so I did everything I could to help her keep it going because it seemed like we were on an unexpected path to getting what we asked for with a big, strong, tall, and intelligent son. Fast forward to today, and our son is very strong. He's in the 82nd percentile in head size, 92nd percentile in weight, and he's literally off the charts in height. And he's 16 months old, but he looks like at least a year older. When God delivers, he does it in a way that's absolutely unmistakable. Imagine what would happen if parents all over started believing that their child can be more than what well-intentioned doctors, friends, and family members say is possible. Imagine what that could mean for your family. Then do something about it right now. Like, share, and subscribe if you want others to be helped as much as you were by this video. There's way too much garbage out there getting shared to not respond with something positive. Thanks so much for your time. Have a blessed day.